So now we are ready to do our second line of stitching, and remember we're going to do this one at 1/2 inch, but always remember to check your machine to make sure that you have it properly threaded before you start sewing on your project. Okay, needle up, press your foot up, pull off to the left, and I checked, it looks pretty good. Alright, you're probably wondering why I say needle up, press your foot up, pull off to the left. When you take the needle up to the highest point, it finishes the last stitch, and so you don't end up with like 3 threads all hanging around down here. If you put the presser foot up, of course, then you can get the fabric out, and when you pull off to the left, you're less likely to bend your needle. You're just pulling it easily because you've got your last stitch done, and also your thread cutter's off to the left. Alrighty, so I'm getting ready to do that second line of stitching, and remember it's at 1/2 inch. So I am going to line up the outside edge, the right outside edge of my fabric here, and I want to be in about 1/2 inch, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Drop my needle down, grab my threads. I am going to go forward a few, and then I'm going to back stitch to the end, and then again this is a curve, so I'm going to go more slowly around this curve. This line of stitching isn't nearly as critical as the first line of stitching, but why make it messy if you can do it nice and neat? Okay, remember you can always lift and shift your fabric a little bit as you're going around that curve, because you really want these two lines of stitching to be parallel, or as much as possible parallel to one another. Okay. I also use my hand to help me turn. I just kind of move like that a little bit as I'm going. And if you notice, I keep my other hand in front. Again, it kind of keeps everything flat. I don't have any kind of wrinkles or bubbles or whatever. Okay, I think we've got past the curve. I'm going to go off camera and speed this up and get to the top, and then I will show you how to back stitch at the top. So we're at the end, needle up, presser foot up, and we're going to take it off to the left and clip the thread. I got so involved in sewing there I forgot to start talking again. If you notice, mine is pretty much parallel all the way down here. Nobody is perfect, so sometimes it might be a little bit narrower than the other, but they should never be on top of each other, and they should be pretty close together over here. You don't want them way over there, because we want to trim part of the seam off, and if you put your second line of stitching way over here, we can't do that. I wanted to show you something about the notch. It sticks out a little bit past the 5/8 inch mark, but you can stitch from here to here with the tape without having to cut that off. We're going to cut it off when we trim, but if you notice, this still stays 5/8 inch along here, even though it's got that little thing right there. Okay, our next step is to zigzag this seam.